Writing is something wherein you are subject to criticism at every single point. You write something out, it's sent away for the first reader, which could be the director, which could be a friend, which could be the producer. There is criticism bound to come from there. Then it's finalized. Next step, okay, take it to the actors. Again, another round. You get to hear, take it further, more actors. Again, feedback, technicians, more reactions, assistant directors, more reactions. Take it to the distributor, studio, more reactions. The film is out, editor, more reactions, post-production, studio, music, more reactions. Film is out, audience, family, friends, everyone, reactions.
Wow.
This, and I won't call it hardships.
Yeah.
I think it's a part of the game. It's something that you need to take it in a stride. And also because so many times the reactions are valid. So many times the suggestions, the feedback works for you. Take what you want. Don't take what you don't want. So Mohit had taken a song for Bhushan ji to hear, and it was a remake of his blockbuster song. His music is legendary.
Yeah.
And Bhushan ji heard the song, and Bhushan ji very simply put, he said, Mohit, it's a beautiful song. People love that song. There is a loyal audience to that song. They'll be heartbroken that why have you even changed it. It was a beautiful lesson that I learned that day, that what has been accepted, what has been admired, don't go changing that. That's the source. That's exactly the reason why you're remaking it.
Why do we remake?
We should not. Now there is no reason to remake because now we've transcended that barrier of language. There is subtitle that the audience understand. People are watching content in foreign language. We're watching Squid Games. We're watching everything.
Yeah.
So now I think remakes should not be done. We should not do remakes. Adaptation, yes.
Book adaptations.
There is a book. It's a literary form. It needs a cinematic form if it so deserves. Do that. I am not somebody who can say with confidence that what works and what doesn't. I am also, because I'm still exploring what's going to work. But I'm trying my hand at the six act structure because we are blessed with the interval facet of filmmaking wherein we have that little break.
Yeah.
So that allows us to create 3 acts in the first half.
Right.
So what that does is you kind of understand that okay, there is a subplot that you need in the first half, there's a separate subplot that you might need in the second half. What that also does is it gives you an additional twist. That is what I am trying my hand at. I don't know what's the perfect structure now. I am exploring various forms myself. What might appeal to you today and what you might feel, oh, this is going to shock the air, it's going to be bonkers. But 2 years later, who knows? Because content is constantly getting churned out. People are watching anything that is coming out of the Hindi belt or South or abroad, foreign languages. People are watching stuff. People are consuming stuff left, right, and center. And you don't know how things are going to pan out.
They say creativity inspires innovation. The power to dream, the power to imagine. How do we cultivate this power of imagination? Voice of Artist is just the platform for this, to unlock the artist within us. There is something which connects all of us as humans, which is the human emotions, which transcends boundaries, and that is how art transcends boundaries. Language is one of the important things that we have achieved as humans to communicate, to express. Today in Voice of Artist, we have one such personality who has used the power of language to create worlds which have inspired us, which have evoked emotions in us which we did not know existed. It's my immense pleasure and honor to welcome today's guest, Aseem Arrora. Hello, sir. Welcome to Voice of Artist.
Thank you.
So we are sitting in Mumbai. The year is 2025. Can I ask you to close your eyes for me? Please go back to your childhood. Tell us, as a kid, how did you see the world?
I was immediately taken back to 95. That is when I left my boarding school. I had to because I kind of screwed up my eyesight. So this was also the year when I was getting bullied. This was also the year when the parents were getting separated. This was also the year when the confidence had taken a lot of beating and we were moving out from our home in Chandigarh to Delhi. But there was a lot of hope. Yes, you were leaving a world behind, you were leaving a set of friends behind. Yes, you knew that there is also a sort of a dream that you're leaving behind, which is never going to get fulfilled because eyesight is poor, LASIK surgery is not heard of. So National Defence Academy will never be fulfilled. That's an unrequited dream till date. But there was hope that you're still going into a new world. All that I knew was that Delhi is big. And thankfully, Delhi did open its arms to me. I found a brilliant, good friend in this guy called Chika. His name is Rohan Mirchandani. So he made the man out of me. And yeah, then things were quite fine after that.
So that unfulfilled dream,
Yeah.
and how fortunate you are today as a screenwriter that you are living dreams of what you could not achieve through the characters that you write and the stories that you build. How did
No, that's actually a very good point that you've made, because in the last few years, I've also realized that most of what I write about the uniform or about the defense stems from the fact that there is something unfulfilled somewhere in me.
Right.
And I get to, vent out my emotions. It's cathartic in a sense.
Right.
I have lived a part of that life. So it's easy for me to, go back
Right.
to speak to people, to do a lot of research. But then there are other facets of the same world. There is medicine, for example. Now, I don't know medicine. So for me to write about a doctor, so then that's when the pursuit to do a lot of research, that's when the effort to meet people and get the scene right comes in.
Which is interesting and actually a hopeful statement, because what you're saying is even if you don't have the life experiences, you can be a good writer, and your journey is a proof of that.
See, Megha, thankfully I did TV. I started off writing movies. The first 3 films didn't do well, even though I got a Filmfare nomination. I had signed up 2 films with 2 big directors. They were not made. And that is when I got to meet Mr. Anurag Basu. He was fresh out of Kites, and I met his wife first, and she narrated a few characters to me and said, would you like to write something on them as a sample, and then we'll take it from there. So I said, मैं कुछ और लिखता हूँ. I'll write something on my own. She said, okay, fair enough. And next evening I got a call. I didn't know the number, and I answered the call, hello, in my arrogant tone, and the voice on the other side, hi Aseem, मैं Anurag Basu बोल रहा हूँ. And I stood up from my bed, I still remember. I said, yes sir. So he said, I read that sample that you've sent, and is it autobiographical? I said it is. So he said, can you come and meet me? So I met him. We discussed Metro 2 for a long time, for like an hour or so. But he was not sure if he's going to make that as the next project. So I said, but I need work.
Yeah.
He said, why don't you do TV? I said, I don't want to do TV. So he told me something really beautiful. He said, TV will do 2 things to you. When you're writing those 8 scenes a day, and even if you're writing 2 scenes honestly, you're cracking 2 formulas within yourself. Secondly, you will have money in your pocket. You won't have to compromise and write bad films. So I went back. Mr. Basu never called me again. But I got to write TV. Next 5 years, I just wrote TV. I kept saying no to movies because TV was helping me buy a house.
It's not like you were compromising, because Uttaran was such a brilliant thing for its time.
I have learned so much from the writing room of Uttaran, because Mithali Ojha was there, so was Rupali Guha, fantastic writers, creative minds. Mithali used to bring Jeffrey Archer, Sidney Sheldon. She used to bring tracks from those books.
For TV serials.
Yes, for TV serials. It was an eye-opener.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realized, oh freak, there's so much to learn in TV. And then I started writing TV. I wrote like 750 episodes of Uttaran. There was a beautiful show called Na Bole Tumna Maine Kuch Kaha. But yes, those formulas were getting cracked. I was quick. I realized that I could, then there was a demand to address a lot of emotions. I could not say, oh, let's bring the character into army, because I know uniform.
Yeah.
That was not something that you can. There is a diktat that the story has.
Yeah.
You as a screenplay writer is supposed to follow that, and you're supposed to give beautiful, new, fresh scenes every single day of your life. And so, yeah, I learned a lot.
The pace that you...
Pace and realizing, understanding, learning a lot about life in general, about a lot of other characters, about a lot of other professions and people. Also, coming back to the main point, when you talk about constraints, now, see, this I can speak for writers who are, venturing out, trying out.
Yeah.
You might get disappointed with the reaction to your script at a very nascent stage.
Yeah.
You might feel that I have been wrongly criticized. What has this guy made? But you should sit back and realize, where is he coming from? He's coming from experience. That person might have experienced some kind of failure or success at the box office and realized, okay, this works. Or there must be an artistic endeavor, there must be that side to that person. And realize he's seen a lot of life. He's seen various characters. He's, ventured away from his own identity as a person. So that is something that you need to realize and learn from. Because this is something one person, any writer will face day in and day out.
Right.
You have to break away from your own identity.
You break away from your identity so that the actor plays the identity you create to the fullest. The irony
yes,
of I
yes.
think
And look
this.
at the finest of actors. They can't be complaining that I'm not this person. They have to be that person on that particular day.
Right. So this mental fluidity, where you live different lives to different characters, and you have to not just live, because that is still an easier part. You have to create new lives. What does that do to a person?
It does a lot of things. It can break you. It is depressing at times. So you might be in a happy space when it comes to your personal life.
Right.
But here you are addressing a really difficult human emotion.
Any example in any of your characters?
Many. Like writing that character of Adi in Malang.
Yeah.
It was difficult. And I would not voice it out in front of the director. You know that there's a character that you don't know much about. There is a character that is causing depression within you. He's an escapist. He is not ready to fight the situation at hand.
Opposite of you.
Opposite of me. So going back home, writing those scenes, and there were times that I wanted to say that I don't like this hero. I don't want to write about him.
Wow.
It's not a hero that inspires me.
Right.
But then as the arc shaped out, I realized, oh freak, what a beautiful character, such a layered character. So it kind of, it pushes you into this, it can push you into a dark corner. And a corner wherein you can't really express, you can't really be that person because you have to be somebody else in front of your family, or professionally you have to have this facade of things are good. But then there are times that, like I used to be, I'd like to believe, used to be a really dry person, very factual to the point. But I realized that was reflecting in what I was writing. But I realized, no, I have to break away. And that was again difficult because you're not that guy who'd like to have a drink every night, who'd like to laugh, who'd like to party. You're not that person.
Yeah.
But just to, try and explore, try and figure out, okay, there's a huge world out there. You can be somebody else. There might be another facet to you you've not explored.
Right.
So it can, put you into any different shade of life of the person you are, but you need to realize that you are under an exploration and you need to explore. You need to be everything. You need to be everyone.
So a writer has to be everyone and anyone, creates a story which is their baby, and then it becomes the director's vision.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the journey and the writer-director dynamics.
So that's tragic, and it's a blessing as well in disguise. So what happens is, now when you've written something out, especially when it's non-commissioned, when it's a story that you've cracked, you've conceived. So you put a lot of yourself into a film, into writing something, and then it is handed over. There's a process with the director. When the process is beautiful, the writer is somebody who gels well, who tries to align himself with your vision, how you've brought in an emotion, and he tries to feel that emotion. So this is when the process is nice. There are two scenarios.
Right.
I'll take both of them one by one. So then what happens is, now the director is supposed to take this forward with actors because the narrations are done, the actors are on, and everyone is happy. Now when he takes it to the set, now there are different battles to be fought on the set. And those are the battles that the director is fighting.
Yeah.
Okay, that you don't want to fight. So that is when it's a blessing. You feel, okay, this guy's taking it up nicely. He can fight the battles. He can salvage what is on paper. Then there's another scenario wherein you've written something out. Again, you've put in yourself in the film. There is a lot of pain that you've taken. And it's taken to a director. The director could say, lovely, I want to write a draft myself. Why do you want to do that? I feel I can bring a lot more. Suits the producer. Okay, I'm getting this director. Let him do it. Will he share the credit? Yes, of course he will, when he puts pen to paper. Why is he putting pen to paper? Why doesn't he tell me what he wants? I can write it. If I could write these 100 pages, I can bring in those changes that he wants. No, he wants to do it himself or with another writer. So that is when it becomes a lot more painful. Okay, but what happens is, the ideal case scenario is when a writer can align himself with the director's vision. Because ultimately that is what the audience is going to see. So align yourself with the director's vision, align yourself with his energy, and see if he's, taking a detour, if he's going away from what you really wanted to say, and try and, be in a space wherein you can very warmly put those points forward without causing any conflict of sorts.
Right.
These are ideal cases.
Yeah.
If it can happen, great for the film. If it can't happen, then you suffer. You see the film suffer, or maybe you suffer and the film doesn't suffer.
As a screenwriter, how does one measure their success?
So it's a difficult one. I think it's a torturous mix that you want. If you can get all of it, critical acclaim, box office, and the validation and appreciation from your close friends and family, great. But otherwise, box office does it for me.
Thank you for bringing this out, because ideally, if you're seeing the box office numbers, which means so many people are watching it and taking time away from their lives either to be entertained or create an experience for their family, which means it is a meaningful experience for them, which is turning into box office numbers.
Partly disagree. It doesn't need to be meaningful. It has to be hugely, wildly entertaining to be a huge box office success. Amir sir used to say that a film needs to be engaging. Javed Saab added it needs to be engaging as well. I think what these two gentlemen have also done, which we can learn from, is that their cinema was also educating. When Javed Saab has written, he's written wonderful films, and if you look at those films, there is a certain milieu, there is a certain social structure that he's addressed with those films.
Right.
Amir sir, the cinema is out in the open. We know Tare Zameen Par, we know
Dangal.
films like Rang De Basanti, Dangal, Lagan, Dil Chahta Hai.
Dil Chahta Hai.
He's always, given that one extra element which you take back home and, want to come back to the cinemas for.
Right.
But to be universally admired and accepted, entertainment does it for you. There are times when you're told to write a particular film in a certain way because this will catch eyeballs.
Yeah.
This is what the audience comes in for. And it's like really shoved hard into you. We are a huge consumer of porn as a nation.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you will start making porn because mass बैठा है देखने के लिए यार.
Brilliant.
ऐसा नहीं हो सकता ना. That can't be the effort that let's write cringy stuff because mass wants it. You have to try something which is beyond entertainment and engagement. At least try. The sorry state of affairs is that mass has equaled cringe. That is really not the way to look at things. Mass doesn't mean cringe. Mass means a universal audience that's out there, which is beyond the urban audience, the multiplex audience. That is what mass is. Yes, they are watching a lot of films from the south. They've accepted Pushpa, they've accepted KGF, they've given them huge numbers.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we start doing the same thing, because that is not our cinema.
Yeah.
And which is okay.
Yeah.
They are doing it beautifully. Doesn't mean we start following. It's their strength.
Yeah.
We don't need to do it.
Yeah.
We have our own strengths. We can do that. But to get into mass doesn't mean you make your content cringy. Doesn't make you change the language of your content because they are not going to accept English. Excuse me. Why? RRR is 50% English.
Picking the thread of mass, does the audience know what they want?
Audience definitely knows what they want. See, ultimately you have only that much money in your pocket. You know that this is my go-to film for this month.
Right.
So everything else in that month will not be watched.
Right.
Because somewhere in the back of your head you also know that, okay, this second, third film that I might want to explore, I'll watch it on OTT. That's how the scene is. They definitely know what they want to watch.
What has changed in the way you approach writing, given how the general psyche in the society is changing?
That's a good one. I think it's not just about the general psyche. It's to do with what worked pre-pandemic and post-pandemic.
Sure.
So the shift is clearly etched out. What happened is that in pandemic, when you were there at home, locked up, there's a lot of content that people have consumed on OTT. And on OTT, people have made brilliant stuff, ranging from a Sacred Games to a Patal Lok, Delhi Crimes, Kohra, Tabbar, and now Black Warrant, Jubilee, Freedom at Midnight.
Yeah.
So people have, been exposed to edgy writing, which is engaging, which is educating, which is entertaining, and every single scene is so gripping that you want to watch the next episode. People have consumed like 8 hours of content in the same day.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, the writing was a little more relaxed, I would say. When you are establishing a world, the writer and the director and the actor, they would like to take time in, establishing the world.
Yeah.
Establishing the problem. So the act one of a film writing, was something that was taken slow. Now, post-pandemic, because pandemic has made you a little restless. The patience levels have gone down. They don't want to wait. They will bring their phones out, they'll open their pack of chips, or they'll say, oh, I'm not coming back for this.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic and post-pandemic writing, flavors have changed. The pattern of writing has changed. Like earlier, there was a subplot. That subplot is supposed to get solved before the end of Act 2.
Yeah.
That was the formula.
Right.
Now, one subplot doesn't do it.
Yeah.
You need many subplots.
Yeah.
You need many twists and turns.
Right.
That's the template that has been created now.
As a screenwriter, if the writing style has to become more edgy and more subplots, which structure or format works the best for you, and what is your recommendation?
I am not somebody who can, say with confidence that what works and what doesn't. I am also, because I'm still exploring what's going to work. But I'm trying my hand at the six act structure.
Right.
Because we are blessed with the interval facet of filmmaking, wherein we have that little break.
Yeah.
So that allows us to, create 3 acts in the first half.
Right.
So what that does is you kind of understand that, okay, there is a subplot that you need in the first half. There's a separate subplot that you might need in the second half. What that also does is it gives you an additional twist. That is what I'm trying my hand at. I don't know what's the perfect structure now. I am exploring various forms myself. What might appeal to you today and what you might feel, oh, this is going to shock the air. It's going to be bonkers. But 2 years later, who knows? Because content is constantly getting churned out. People are watching anything that is coming out of the Hindi belt or South or abroad.
Yeah.
Foreign languages. People are watching stuff. People are consuming stuff left, right, and center. And you don't know how things are going to pan out.
Which film gave you the satisfaction where you tried something risky, if it will work or not in the future, and it did brilliantly?
Malang. Malang, because I was not sure. I knew that the film is in safe hands. It's Mohit Suri's strength to use, to blend thriller, music, and a love story together. It's his strength.
Right.
But he was also, venturing out. He was pushing the envelope too hard.
Right.
And he was constantly saying, I want to do something new, I want to do something new, I want to do something new. People were constantly telling him, don't do that, Mohit, this works for you, this works for you. No, I want to change the language, I want to change the language.
If there was no pressure of charts, what kind of stories would you tell?
So I've tried to take that pressure off me now. Because I've realized, see, when you see Black Warrant, when you see Patal Lok, when you see Tabbar, Kohra, there's a clear-cut indication that, okay, there are writers who've become stars. Okay, why not you? You can feel jealous, you can feel inspired.
Right.
The choice is yours to make.
Right.
So I'm trying to, steer away from that pressure of numbers and create content which is much more organic, go back to my roots, what I'd initially, ventured out with, my own stories, gutsy tales to tell. So it's basically more to do with what phase I am in personally.
Right.
Yeah.
You said rooted stories. India is so rich in diversity and the kind of cultures and thought process, lifestyles that we have. Is there any formula to creating universal appeal in such rooted stories which are culturally rooted in India?
I think that dissection itself is very difficult. It's difficult to address also because, see, when you look at examples in front of you, there is a Rang De Basanti. The basic story is not rooted. It's about these English-speaking, these school yo characters in a Delhi university setup. They're exploring their journey. Through their journey, they realize, okay, they went out. These freedom fighters took an extreme step.
Yeah.
But that extreme step had to do with something good at large.
Yeah.
So this entire setup, when you talk of it, is not rooted for me. I don't find it rooted. Dangal is rooted. But doesn't mean Rang De Basanti didn't have that large universal appeal.
Right.
It did. So I think what really works is when you say rooted, I think it's the emotion. It's not setting up, it's not the setup, it's not the world. It's to do with the emotion, it's to do with the basic point that you're trying to address, how relevant that becomes.
Thank you for pointing that out, because the word rooted has been misunderstood often, that it means the context and the setup and not the emotion. What you're basically saying is, which is a fact, that human emotions transcend boundaries, and that becomes your root for universal appeal.
It's not urban versus rural, it's not that for me.
Interesting, which also means that India need not be shown in a particular light, either.
Definitely not.
Right, not the extreme rural setup or not the extreme urban youth setup also. It could be.
India, like you said, India is diverse. It's actually diverse. You look at the entire fabric of the country. There is a world that Kantara projects. That world exists. There's a world that Veda projects. That world exists. There's a world that Ye Jawani Hai Diwani projects.
Correct.
That world exists. India, so that's truly the diverse country that we're talking about.
Interesting. Now, if we zoom this out a bit, at global level, what patterns do you see in screenwriting? Are there any patterns in global cinema?
Yeah, it's all to do with edge. You need to pack in a lot within those 2 hours, 3 hours content. You need to write it like a web show globally. If you look at all the films that have done well abroad also, there are big films that have not done well. I'm talking about part 6 or part 7 in a very successful franchise.
Right.
Not done well.
Right.
Because they followed the same pattern. Or they went esoteric. They thought, okay, we need to bring something in new, so let's make the film.
For the sake of it.
Yeah, for the sake of it.
I'll switch gears from here to going into one specific type of screenwriting, which is book adaptations.
So I'm in the process of adapting something, but thankfully that's my own work. I'd say it's not a difficult exercise, frankly. It's something that you need to be cautious of. It's a path that you need to treat very carefully. Now you need to figure out why has it worked in a particular setup. Say for example, Rakshashan that we remade into Katputli. Now Rakshashan is a widely admired, accepted and a hit at the box office.
Yeah.
Now we are remaking it into Katputli with Akshay sir doing it. Yes, you understand that there is a serial killer setup. This is the kind of police network that works in that particular belt or world. How is it going to work in our setup or the world that we are recreating? So you need to understand that world. You need to then figure that how far is it taking you from the source material? Is it taking you far from the core emotion or the core conflict? Because that can happen naturally without you even realizing it. Then you have a protagonist who has a family audience. It works for this protagonist to have more color in him, to smile, to be more flesh and blood in that sense. So I think form and structure can change, but I think what should not change is the core conflict, is the core emotion, is the core motivations, the impetus, the driving factors for the characters. That should not change. That you should be very careful about. This is also something that I realized while writing season 2 of a show. So the season 1 didn't do well, but it had a very loyal, limited audience.
Right.
We were writing season 2, we wanted more eyeballs. So in the first draft, we changed the characters. When we changed the characters is when a beautiful feedback came from the channel head, and he said, "This is the character that has been loved by the audience. Don't change the character. You can now change his journey ahead. You can bring in more subplots. Don't change the character. That the character has been loved." So that is something that you need to be really careful about. That is something that you need to be really cautious of while adapting. Like I'll state this beautiful small event that happened with Bhushan ji and Mohit. So Mohit had taken a song for Bhushan ji to hear, and it was a remake of his blockbuster song. His music is legendary.
Yeah.
And Bhushan ji heard the song, and Bhushan ji very simply put, he said, "Mohit, it's a beautiful song. People love that song. There is a loyal audience to that song. They'll be heartbroken that why have you even changed it?" It was a beautiful lesson that I learned that day. That what has been accepted, what has been admired, don't go changing that. That's the source. That's exactly the reason why you're remaking it.
Why do we remake?
We should not. Now there is no reason to remake because now we've transcended that barrier of language. There is subtitle that the audience understand. People are watching content in foreign language. We're watching Squid Games. We're watching everything.
Yeah.
So now I think remakes should not be done. We should not do remakes. Adaptation, yes.
Book adaptations.
There is a book. It's a literary form. It needs a cinematic form if it so deserves. Do that.
I'm sure behind the scenes there is a lot of rejections and hardships that must have gone through. What would you say to the young or aspiring writers on how to handle the no or the failure or the rejection? Or
Oh, that's a part and parcel of the game. Accept it from the word go. Writing is something wherein you are subject to criticism at every single point. You write something out, it's sent away for the first reader, which could be the director, which could be a friend, which could be the producer. There is criticism bound to come from there. Then it's finalized. Next step, okay, take it to the actors. Again, another round. You get to hear, take it further, more actors. Again, feedback, technicians, more reactions. Assistant directors, more reactions. Take it to the distributor, studio, more reactions. The film is out, editor, more reactions. Post-production, studio, music, more reactions. Film is out. Audience, family, friends, everyone. Reactions.
wow.
This, and I won't call it hardships.
Yeah.
I think it's a part of the game. It's something that you need to take it in a stride. And Also because so many times the reactions are valid. So many times the suggestions, the feedback works for you. Take what you want. Don't take what you don't want. Fight back.
In a way, you're describing what it takes to be a writer, a screenwriter.
It takes a lot. There is a lot of learning that you need to, be open to. It's a very rewarding profession. Gone are the days when screenwriters didn't make money. Yes, there are battles that we are fighting, but things are changing gradually. So I think what we should realize it's a great time to be a screenwriter, but you need to be continuously learning. You need to be open to criticism. You need to be open to meeting, working hard. It takes a lot. It can be hard at you emotionally. It's wrenching at times, but it's rewarding. You get money, you get fame, you get a good life. You are a better person. You're more enriched, and I think screenwriters have a longer career.
Tell us more.
Uh, I'd like to, cite an example of what Mr. Parvez Sheikh once told me. So I was really, really shattered after the box office failure of a film, and 6 months were depressing because this film I expected it to be a blockbuster. It'll do wonders for me. It didn't. So he said, "You're operating at a 30 to 40% success rate. Screenwriters can operate at the success rate of 10%.
Wow.
You give one hit, 5-6 years, people will still come to you because people know that you can write. That example is there. They know you can write. So a screenwriter in that sense can have a longer career. You won't have to switch gears. Okay, now let's become something else. This is not working for me. Okay, let's break into something else. This is not working for me. Just work hard, work towards something that is accepted, admired. That one something will get you more work. Kaam se kaam anta hai.
Right. Interesting. And such an important point you brought out. One of the biggest, I will not call it misconception, but or reality maybe, that artists don't earn money or it's difficult to survive and thrive as a full-time artist. And you're saying that's not true if you are a focused writer, as a focused artist.
Not true. How much money does one want? You want a lot, maybe not the right profession. You want good enough? Yes, it works. So I think an art, generic in generic terms, I think art can make money. Yes, in yesteryears there were artists who've gone in penury, and the work has then been accepted largely
Posthumously.
and admired and made cult out of. But doesn't mean it's still valid. Times have changed.
Yeah.
Art can make you money. Depends on how much are you expecting. How much do you want to? How much do you want? If there is a lot that you want, you might want to venture out and be a businessman. But to say that art will not give you a lifestyle, it will not give you a good life, it will not fund your child's great education. No, I disagree. It can. Art is supposed to make money. That is when more artists get encouraged. You need food on the table to be able to read. You need money to buy books.
Yeah.
You need money to, go abroad, travel, meet people. All this enriches you.
But also, have you seen if art is, or being an artist is your main source of income, does that compromise on the quality of the art that you produce?
Catch-22. It can. But again, like I said, it depends on how much you want. Compromises, I think that word itself is a little cursed. I have done that. I am guilty of it. There was a time when I wanted more money.
Right.
I went out and wrote 2 films that I shouldn't have. So it's a personal choice. It's to do with how much you want.
Fair.
These compromises, what it does is it also can bring in a beautiful realization that you don't need to do it again. So the mistakes you made of mistakes.
So many people come to Bombay with dreams in their eyes, and enough and more dreams also get broken. Sometimes people don't know how to navigate the maze. Sometimes they don't know if they've written something is right or not. Sometimes they don't find the mentor, guide. How do you navigate this ecosystem?
I know it's a city of dreams. It's a beautiful city, so to say. It's full of opportunities for everyone. But yes, there are dreams that are broken. There are people who have to, go back. There is not one solution, I'd say, that you can, apply. But I think just work hard and keep trying to get better. Try and take criticism in your stride. Try and accept it. Try and understand what the other person is trying to say and why is he trying to say that. There was this time when Lucknow Central was getting made, and I was getting bothered by one particular scene that was changed, and I had an emotionally charged argument with Nikhil Advani, and he told me that, Aseem, you need to understand this was your film. Now this is somebody else's film. It will be taken away from you. If you keep suffering like this, the energy is going to reflect on the film in some way. Understand what the other person is saying. Try and align yourself to that. Try and be that person for that while. Understand why is he doing that. It's a film. There are many more minds that you have collaborated with. You need to understand the choice you've made as a writer. Writing is a collaborative effort. You've not created something in an isolated structure, come out with beautiful 90 pages and said, okay, here it is, a masterpiece. There is somebody else who's going to give shape to that masterpiece. Otherwise, go direct it.
Right.
Go produce it.
Right.
Don't be too critical. Don't be too harsh on the other person's reaction to what you've created. That I think can help a great deal, because what it'll do is it'll help you get accepted in a particular ecosystem. Otherwise, you're working with very limited opportunities. You're constraining yourself.
Get accepted to stand out.
Yes.
Wow. Are you saying that if you are hardworking and, of course, talented enough, eventually you will find success?
That has worked for me. I've been a workhorse. I'd like to be one. I know my limitations. There were many more limitations earlier in the craft, in my experiences, in what I had seen in life, in what I could bring on the table. But I knew that there is something that I can, that can cover up, that probably can set me apart from all the others. That was hard work. I have worked myself up with that one particular skill set. I have worked my ass off. And I love that. I love that fact. And I think that is something, if people can, borrow, it can help them a great deal.
What's an ideal day for a screenwriter?
I think to each one his own. There is not one particular set of rules or routine that you can abide by as a screenwriter.
But do's and don'ts?
Do's: meet a lot of people. Read a lot.
What do you read?
I read everything. I have India Today subscriptions. I have my National Geographic subscriptions. I am an avid reader of autobiographies, fiction. So I also, read those timelines on Twitter. If I find something interesting that has been put, I'd read the entire timeline and figure out what.
That's a development, actually.
Yeah, I read my son's books, all the books that he gets from his library, because I've realized that there is a lot that I've not read in those years.
Yeah.
So, and stunning writing has been done for kids.
Actually. Yeah.
The best writing has been done for kids.
Simplifying such complex emotions.
That's the formula, no? If you can say it simply, that's the best way to say things.
Right.
You don't need to be a Kafka in everything. You need to be like really intense.
Yeah.
So, and I think if you can bring in a schedule, if you can bring in a routine, if you can bring in some sort of discipline, because that is what most writers lack. So if you want to set yourself apart, if you want to, be that odd person out, that okay, he's different. I think discipline.
I have to ask you this. What do you have to say about the situations where the writers say, I need my space, or I need this particular location for me to be able to write? And
No, it works for some people.
Right.
And they churn out gems. Doesn't work for me. When I was writing TV, I used to, be thinking about that one particular episode, that story that I've heard or shared. And I'd just suddenly stop my car, and on my BlackBerry, I'd write two scenes out, 3 scenes out. I'd write anywhere. I should be feeling that one particular emotion or that one particular situation that I want to put on paper. And I'd write it wherever.
What is happening, the unseen, which is beyond the script or beyond, what is this energy that you're talking about?
Whatever you put in on paper and the energy that you felt at that particular point of time, it is going to translate. It might be weak with how it's been shot, it might be weak, but somewhere that energy, that emotion will translate. The audience is going to feel it. It works for you to feel what you're writing. Like I meet Farhad Samji. When he narrates, you have to hear his narration. He makes you laugh. He's not laughing. He's serious. Love Ranjan. Love Ranjan doesn't even smile when he's reading out his scripts. You are laughing your guts out. Similarly, his characters are not laughing on screen.
Right.
They are serious about the situation at hand.
Right.
But the audience is in splits. because he's actually felt it. It will translate. It's a difficult thing to achieve, but it happens if people achieve that. With emotions, it's easier.
As a writer, when you write Kareena Kapoor's character in Buckingham Murders, so how do you put yourself in those shoes and you feel, and how does that work?
Try and put yourself in the protagonist. So even if the protagonist, say, doesn't have that one trait that you can relate with, the protagonist might be different. Try and bring in something from yourself into that personality.
So you have a connection.
Yeah, she deals with grief. I understand that emotion. She deals with the grief of a little one. Okay, so I have seen my brother lose his pet dog.
Okay,
So I understand what he went through.
got it.
Age doesn't matter here.
Right.
So grief is the emotion that you want to address. You bring in grief, you need to bring in how it's addressed from your own your own personal life, and you put that in. When you put that in, automatically it starts showing. It starts reflecting. The reader will feel it. Everyone will feel it.
Who is Aseem Arrora?
I think very loving. That I've truly turned into someone like that. Much more expressive. I think that's got to do with parenthood. And much more loyal. I think fiercely loyal. That's the person I am.
What is your voice of artist?
To constantly try and communicate that you can make it work. I had a very limited set of skill sets. I have had no schooling, I have no film schooling. I have had my entire learning process has been on field, and I have not even assisted as a writer. You need to understand that life is a lot more than what you're doing. Life is a lot more than what you want. It has a lot more to offer. And there are years, there are months, there are days when you might not feel up for it. You might not feel up for the challenge. Might not feel up for the situation you are in. But there is always a beautiful way out. There is always an opportunity lurking around it. You have to create those opportunities, spot them. You have to spot relationships. They offer so much. It could be a good friend. It could be a good mentor. It could be you turning into a mentor and still realizing and learning a lot from that particular disciple. That's my voice. That's the kind of artist that I want to be.
That's a beautifully articulated voice of artist, sir, I have to say. What has been the most interesting or difficult skill that you have gained in the screenwriting process?
The business aspect. Ultimately, the world is not that. And you want your stories out, you want your art to be exposed, to be accepted, at least to reach. For that, I kind of acquired a certain business acumen. I kind of, understood that there are facets, there are things that I need to understand, that I need to be wary of, I need to be cautious of, and be aware of, so that what I'm trying to create, it reaches out to more people. And if I really believe in a particular script, for example, and I feel that it can inspire a lot of other writers and, motivate them to, really believe in their content, I must make sure that this reaches out. If it doesn't, there is no way others are watching it. There's no way they're going to be inspired by it because it's not reached out.
Yeah.
So it requires a certain business acumen. That is what I feel, and that's been the most difficult, yet the most important of skill sets that I've acquired and worked on.
You have run a lot of writers' room also for the projects that you work, and you work with a lot of young writers also. So what do you appreciate about the new coming batch of writers, and what is the message that you would want to give them?
See, I've been meeting a lot of young writers lately. I sense this skepticism around the profession that they come with. That is one thing that I'm not really happy about. But this is a common trait that I encounter. I'm trying to figure out how to, break them away from it. It's not something that I alone can do it.
Yeah.
It'll require a lot of time with those set of writers that I finally, shortlist. It'll involve a lot of experience of them working with me and under the tutelage of other producers and directors that we plan to work with. Yeah. So the message would be to, believe in your dreams. That is the most cliche of statements to make, but believe in them to the core. When you've created something, it's not something that you abandon easily. You have to figure out ways to circumvent what's thrown at you. When it's made, you kind of get a sense of an accomplishment, get an understanding that okay, things can be achieved, and that is when it encourages you to write more. So believe really strongly.
To wrap this conversation for now, I want you to go back to the Aseem who was moving from Chandigarh to Delhi. What would that version of you say to you today?
Come a long way from being a coward as a child to somebody who's brave, not scared of anything. Somebody who was underconfident to somebody who's not overconfident. So, and that's a big difference to make, because overconfidence is something that you can, you can use as a facade. Confidence is something that comes with knowledge. It comes with exploring and exposing yourself.
Right.
Yes, I think these two traits, I think I'd be proud of, if that's the word I can use. Otherwise, I think one skill set that I could still go back to is that innocence, wherein I was innocent enough to believe that I could be an Air Force officer. To now, wherein there is a sense of pragmatism, and you get a little practical. Okay, this is the age. Do I really want to direct? No. Do I really want to get into star system? Yeah, I want to. Let's make a big film with a star, because that will get you more eyeballs. That should be your debut film.
In a very simple way, you communicated a complex thought like a brilliant screenwriter that you are. You said that overconfidence can be a facade.
Yeah.
More often than not, that overconfidence or the arrogance becomes the reason for your insecurity or inferiority that you feel within. So you
Yes.
really cracked the psychological behavioral phenomena with this statement.
Because I see people using that. See, what happens is failure also can do that to you. And when the failure is repeated, and you truly believe in your craft, but you're not seeing success, and you're
Yeah.
seeing people succeed around you, it can break you. So now there are two ways about it. One, you stay that simple person, keep working hard, find solace in family, in friends. But otherwise, there are people who might not find that comfort somewhere, and then they, create this facade, and then they create a coterie around them of sycophants. And that, yes, it gives them that comfort, because everything is validated in that particular small little cloud that you've created for yourself. But that overconfidence, that arrogance is just a defense mechanism. Because it might give you that small little victory on that particular day, but you've spoiled that scenes, you spoiled that one shoot just to satisfy yourself. So I think you should steer away from it.
What role can Voice of Artist, a platform like Voice of Artist, play in nurturing that collective ecosystem which nurtures the artists or artistic energy and gives the focus in the right way or place?
This is like fuel to artists. See, an artist is constantly trying to find himself places where he can, get some kind of validation or feel motivated from, or relate to. There is this constant, desperate hunger to find himself that set of friends or a voice. So I think this platform can actually become a friend. It can actually fuel that emotion in artists, because you're always questioning yourself.
Right.
You're always in a difficult situation, a phase. It could be for half an hour, it could be for years. And platforms like this, when people, see a podcast like this, when people get to see so many genuine artists and hear them out, hear out their experiences, relate to it, figure out ways that these people have, kind of achieved something,
Made it, yeah.
or made it or not made it, or truly believed in their dreams, how they've been clever, how they've been smart. So such platforms always gives them that kind of that one motivation that it can trigger, it can help, it can heal, and also it can teach a lot, because people suffer.
Yeah.
And when people suffer, they always look around, they look for help. This is helpful.
I am glad that you said that, because that was the restlessness that I and Raraksh, my partner, had felt, that an artist's journey is anyway so difficult, because like you said, you're questioning yourself, it's a lonely journey. And the hope that we have is to spread that hope that, hey, it's okay. You're on that journey and it's okay to feel what you're feeling, but keep going on that journey. So thank you for being a part of this journey, sir. Appreciate you being here. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
having
to
me
Voice
here.
of Artist.
Thank you.